Our first movie tells the story of a friendship behind prison walls that spans more than 20 years.
So welcome to episode 26 of Middlebrowmadness, an exercise in podcast hubris. My name is Derek Godai.
I'm Isabel Arf. Derek, I have another quiz for you. Not a quiz so much as a test. I have, let's say, I have an instruction manual for a device before me. There's 8 parts of the instruction manual, like 8 little steps to get it working. And I want you to buzz in when you think you've got it. Okay. Here's the problem. If we get to number 8 will very much reveal what it is.
We'll give it away. Okay. All right.
So actually, what I might do is if we get through all 7 and you don't have it, I also have 3 very short product reviews that might help you out.
All right. Let's. Okay.
Everyone play along at home too.
Man. All right. Let's see. Okay. I automatically assume it's a sex thing, so that's where I'm going.
You don't know that.
I don't. That's a guess.
Yeah. And I will be not including the name of the thing because I don't want you to be able to Google it. I don't think you would cheat, but just in case.
I'm an honest man.
Okay. So, user guide. Instructions for using the app. 1. Scan the QR code below to download the app. Pretty good so far.
That's number 1.
2, yes.
Okay. Can I guess?
Sure. There's no way you have it. I swear to Christ.
Okay. I'm just going to, wild stab in the dark. It's going to be okay, you know what? Internet of Things Diva Cup.
No.
Okay.
But number 2, after you have registered to the app and logged in, that's step 2. That is the whole sentence for step 2.
Well, that doesn't help at all. It's something that you would need an account for. That doesn't really narrow it down.
Number 3, to connect the device to your phone, tap the plus symbol at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. You can connect the device to your phone through Bluetooth pairing. On the next page, you will see a picture of the device. Tap that picture to start the connection process.
Is this...
Go for it.
Is this one of those, is this like a Bluetooth vibrator or some shit?
You're a little warmer.
Okay.
But not quite there.
Am I in the right area of the body?
In some ways, you're on the opposite side of things.
Can I change my guess immediately?
Not until I do the next step.
Okay.
You get 1 guess per step. That's a new rule that I'm instigating right now. Number 4, after successfully connecting your phone to the device, you'll be redirected to the home screen. Your device is now connected to your account. So what's your other guess?
Is it an Internet of Things butt plug?
Nope. Number 5, to select who can unlock the device, you first have to add a friend. Tap on the friends icon in the home screen, followed by tapping the add icon in the right-hand corner of the following screen. Search for the ID number of your friend in the search ID tab bar and tab search. An ID number can be found on the home screen under the home menu item Me.
Can I ask a 20-question style question?
That feels unfair.
Okay, never mind.
Okay.
I feel like I gotta be in the right area because it's in the spirit of the show. Is it some kind of Internet of Things chastity device?
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah!
Derek,
got
you
it!
You have devised what the Cellmate device is.
Oh my god.
It is an Internet of Things chastity device for people with penises and testicles.
My God.
You put it in your dick, and it locks it as long as the app says it should be locked for. Apparently, the battery lasts up to 1 year. And I want to read some of these reviews because they're very good.
All right. Oh,
so, Cellmate chastity device is a 5-star review. I have never been so pleased with the product. I love wearing the Cellmate, and my bowels... Sorry.
Wait, my bowels?
Hold on. And my balls are now of bowl quality.
They are now of bowl quality?
Now my balls hang much lower than my cock. I am so happy. Thank you for the wonderful device.
I mean, my balls already do that. I don't need no fucking special device.
Well, look at low-hanging Derek over here. His big balls hanging low. This one, I just really liked the phrasing of it. It sounds like someone didn't quite know how to speak.
You know what?
Yes.
Let me just pump the brakes on this. I love that first review cracked you up. Because presumably you read it before the show.
Well, yeah. But
and
I mean, I'm a child, and the phrase balls are now of bowl quality.
Yeah. Like B-U-L-L?
Bowl, yeah, B-U-L-L, capitalized. B-U-L-L.
Talk about a bull market, huh?
Anyways, next review, 5 stars. I find that the feeling of wearing my trousers is becoming more normal.
That's a great sentence.
I know, that's why I love it. Because, like, it doesn't even sound like a sex thing. It's just like, hey, my trousers are fitting better. One actually gets accustomed with each day.
I finally get pants now.
It is not unpleasant, but for me, very pleasant. I must say that my feelings for my wife became more intense. I have to spoil and crush her even more. Without ulterior motives, she allows me to orgasm.
This is a journey that you've sent us on there, Isabel. You gotta read another one, though. You promised 3.
I love this phrase, without ulterior motives. Okay, here's the third one. Third one is the longest one. This was going to be like the reveal, essentially.
Okay.
That's my plan. So.
Oh, like the other 2 weren't going to give it away.
I mean, hey, I was going to like leave out some details.
Okay.
So, this is a 4-star review, so not the full 5 stars. Fiddly, but worth it. What a piece of kit. I've been using chassis devices since 2002, when the old CB3000 first appeared, and I've tried virtually every non-pierced variety there is. This fantastic little device is by far the comfiest I've tried on. The app that controls the amazing device is a bit fiddly to set up, but once my queen, capitalized, obviously, and I had finally figured it out, we're in our 40s, technology is still sci-fi to us. I love that. I love, like, little moments of like, just boomerness in these reviews. We have some serious fun testing out the request for release option. She loves saying no via the app now. One issue we did have, and this is why I'm reading this, because I want to warn people, in case they're going to buy this.
Okay.
In case any of our viewers need a chassis device. An Internet of Things chassis device, specifically. Which I have some comments on after I finish reading this.
I bet you do.
One issue we did have on first wearing the device to test the release mechanism, and the reason the device gets 4 stars, is that I hadn't quite lined the device up properly with the ring, causing the locking pin to jam. This caused a moment of panic for her, but not for me, as that just played to my permanently locked wishes. But for less experienced users, I can see this would become worrying very quickly. Still, a fantastic piece of kit, well worth a look if you're handing over full control of your cock to someone else without worrying about losing keys. And then the final line of the review, you need this.
No, I don't. I do not.
So, the reason I find this idea so fascinating...
This is like a fucking Black Mirror episode.
Is because, like, obviously, I think our audience is aware that chassis devices are a thing, I believe.
I mean, if they're not, we hate to break it to you, but now they are. It's weird that you have to learn this way, though.
The old ones are analog. There's a key, there's a lock, and you're good to go. This one, I have concerns about. Because, like, I was checking out FAQs. I was trying to find a troubleshooting guide for, like, what happens if something goes wrong with the device. And apparently, so from what I could find, no one knows what happens, or no one knows if there's a way to unlock it if one of you happens to lose your phone and no longer has access to your account.
There's gotta be a failsafe. I know, like, a failsafe is almost, like, against the spirit of the operation.
There is a failsafe, but that failsafe is that when the battery gets down to 15%, it'll automatically unlock.
Okay.
Which is, okay, that's good. Here's the issue. The battery has a life of a year to a year and a half.
So you've got to wait about 10 months if it's a full charge?
Yes, if it's a full charge. So that's
so
a while to wait.
Yeah, if I get my dick cut in one of these by accident. I don't
if it just happen to be like if you fall into one, if it's just like hanging out on your couch and you happen to lay on it.
Yeah, if I fall dick first into an Internet of Things chastity device, which sounds like its own special kind of hell. Yeah, that means now we're in May, so that means I would have to wait until my 33rd birthday.
But what a birthday present that would be, Derek.
Yeah, like release. I'll finally be able to piss again. I don't know how these work.
There's a hole in the top. You can piss through it.
Okay, cool.
That'd be a pretty bad chassis device if like you had to take it off every like 5 hours.
As long as I can piss. Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine like a weirder bummer than to get a push notification that says no, my dick getting released.
I mean, I feel like, okay, not to dive too deep into this hole that we've opened up now.
Your fault.
I'm moving past that. I feel like that would be the best notification you could get if you were someone who is into this kink. I'm imagining, obviously, Derek. This is clearly not me as a human being. I clearly don't own 3 of these.
Parody.
Hashtag parody. I feel like that's like the thing you want is like, oh, like if you were at work and you get the like thing that's like, nope, you're gonna stay in there. Too bad. That's the ideal. If there's like, oh yeah, just take it off, whatever. That I feel like is against the spirit of the operation.
All right, I'll take your word for it.
And then I just want to finish this up with there's a section in the what do you call it, manual called Matters That Need Your Attention.
Really now.
I really like that phrase.
That might be the episode's title.
It is recommended to clean the cellmate at least twice a week.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, makes sense. Do not, and that's in all caps, do not wear the cellmate device while swimming or diving. Bathing, however, is fine.
Huh, okay.
Do not immerse in water or any other liquids for lengths of time. Suggested not to wear it for longer than 14 days. Under any circumstances of congestion, swelling, or obvious pain, you should stop wearing the device immediately. Hopefully congestion. I liked that phrase especially because it's like you have to like blow your dick to get like the snot out of it. What is the congestion going on there? Yeah,
I was wondering like what's congestion? Like the other parts,
like a lot of traffic in your urethra that's causing like a congested area there.
Like, do chastity devices give like colds or sinus infections that I'm not aware of?
You can get some that have like urethral plugs in them, and I feel like that might be an issue. But this one does not have that, so I don't know where the congestion is coming from.
You want to run that by me one more time?
So there are some chastity devices, Derek,
that
have plugs that go in the tip of your penis, and that's just how it is.
Okay, so I reiterate my question from before. What if you need to pee?
Well, there's like most of the ones I've seen have like a little threaded screw on the top, so you can unscrew it and just like your pee falls out.
Okay, so your dick is still plugged, but you can unscrew the top of it like a bottle of soda pop.
Well, like flat soda pop, yeah.
Okay. Oh boy. Well, thanks for that adventure there, Isabel.
Yeah, just and then last one. Sorry, this item is for novelty only. So.
Oh yeah, sure. Parody.
Hashtag parody. So Derek, usually we talk about, let's be honest, usually we do talk about dicks for a big portion of the podcast, but
at the
moment we don't.
Sure do.
What are we talking about?
So what do we do on this pod? I mean, back in the before times, Isabel here took a screenshot of the Internet Movie Database's top 250 films of all time and put them all into a single elimination bracket. We added 6 movies of our own that were just bubbling under to make 256, and we're pinning them off in pairs until we get to the greatest movie of all time, asterisk. We are, and I've got my handy dandy little bracket here. There are 128 matchups. Well, how about this? Right now, we have 78 matchups left in round 1.
That's a lot, Derek.
Yeah, we've done a lot, but we have a lot more to go.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, we're in for the long haul as well.
That's 36 episodes left?
Yep.
For round 1. That's not even counting the other rounds.
Yeah, because round 1
we're still definitely not even halfway through.
Round 1 is 64 episodes. So we're not halfway yet. We're almost halfway, but we're not halfway yet. Long haul.
Oh, boy. Yeah, we're like truckers right now.
That's right. We are movie truckers. We are like space truckers. Like an alien.
I was going to say like convoy, but, if you want to go with a vulgar reference.
I bet Convoy holds up.
Do you? Do you, though?
I mean, Chris Christopherson and Ernest Borgnine in a trucker movie from the 70s? Yeah.
I mean, is it as good as Mother Jugs and Speed?
Doesn't have a better name.
What are we doing? What is this podcast, Eric? We have to like do the thing eventually. We've been recording for 40 minutes.
So we
haven't talked about any of these fucking movies.
We will. People come for the banter. So we have these 256 movies. We pair them up, and eventually we get to the end. Right now we're still in round 1. We do 2 matchups an episode, and here are the 2 matchups. We have Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade versus Room, and The Matrix versus The Help. One of these is going to be easier than the other.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, for me, they're both pretty easy, but I'm interested to see your opinions, let's say. You saying that, I'm interested, because I thought I knew how this was going to fall, but I guess I don't. So, let's do this first one. The 111 seed, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, released in 1989, directed by Steven Spielberg, written by Jeffrey Brome, based on a story by George Lucas and Menno Mages, starring Harrison Ford, Denham Elliott, Alison Dooley, John Rhys Davies, Julian Glover, and Sean Connery. $48 million budget, $474 million take, so you could say that it was a pretty sizable hit. That was like one of the blockbusters of the year. And I'm trying to see if it had any kind of like... The film won the Academy Award for Best Sound Effects Editing, also being nominated for Original Score, Best Sound. So yeah, it went 1 for 3 at the Oscars that year. Versus a movie that did a lot better at the Oscars. Room, released in 2015, directed by Lenny Abramson, written by Emma Donoghue, based on her own book. So she adapted her own book into a screenplay. Starring Brie Larson, Jacob Tremblay, Joan Allen, Sean Bridges, and William H. Macy. $13 million budget, $36.3 million take, so a modest hit. And let's see, let's go to this link. It was nominated for 4 Academy Awards, with Brie Larson winning for Best Actress. So, you and I, specifically, have a very small but very lore important history with Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Oh, the dim the house lights thing, right? Yes.
Okay. This is for real heads. So a while back, I always tried to get the other dim the house lights people to do this thing called the Tournament of Films, where basically we pool a bunch of movies that at least one of us has never seen into a tournament. You'll see kind of a thread between all of the things that I like doing. I do like brackets as like a way to sort of organize my thoughts about art.
Yeah. And us doing that whole thing is actually what got me to watch Al-Hassad Balthazar for the first time. So
that's right.
Eternally grateful.
A good movie.
It's a fucking great movie, masterpiece.
And so we did it for a couple of years. I think one of them was 1960 something. 1966 was one of them. And we also did one for 1989. And Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade was in that list and ended up being the runner-up in the Tournament of Films, and it ended up losing to Tetsuo the Iron Man.
I still stand by, to be fair.
I think Tetsuo is the better movie. That said, this movie is kind of a perfect entertainment delivery device. At least for me.
I'm interested to hear you say why, because revisiting this, I was most surprised by the fact that I didn't really like it anymore.
Like, at all?
I mean, it's fine, but if you ask me, do I want to watch Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade or National Treasure 2, I would pick National Treasure 2 right now.
Okay. Because for me, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade is basically... It's a rerun of Raiders, right? It's basically Raiders in shape and in execution. And
see, I'm questioning now whether I actually like Raiders even. Like, watching this movie is making me question that. I mean, we will get to it because it's later up on this list.
It's on this list. But I think it's... When I say that it's a perfect sort of entertainment delivery device, it's a movie that absolutely does not let up. It's like... It's just action and incident and banter and very, very loud music cues. And I was not bored for a second during this film. I got wrapped up. This is like the second or third time I've seen this. I got instantly sort of wrapped up in its rhythms. And it basically worked its magic spell on me because that's sort of what Steven Spielberg movies do to me. Well, the good ones anyway.
Like 1941 or whatever. That's your favorite movie.
I've never seen 1941.
No one's seen 1941. Why would you?
You've seen like the weird heads on Letterboxd, right?
That's true.
Who like stand for that movie?
Yeah, but Toshiro Mifune only goes so far. Yeah.
Isn't John Belushi in that movie as well?
Sure is. That's why I don't want to watch it, because I fucking hate that asshole.
May he rest in peace.
Yes. Sad he died and all that, but like he's not a funny man.
Parody.
That's okay. Hold on. I'm not saying I'm glad he died. I'm saying he's not a funny man. That's a very different statement. Like, I don't think that Jim Gaffigan is very funny either. It doesn't mean I want him to die.
I'm sure.
Although Jim Gaffigan's probably a little funnier than John Belushi if I had to rank them.
That sounds like something that would qualify as a hot take.
I just don't think Jim Belushi. Like, I've never seen. Oh, okay, I was gonna say Jim Belushi, which is very different. I think we would maybe agree on Jim Belushi, but like, what are the things that John Belushi was in that was good? Everyone points to Animal House, which is a terrible film. Like, literally one of the worst ones I've ever seen. I fucking hate it. There's 1941, which I've never seen. There's Blues Brothers, which I think it's because I grew up in Chicago or the Chicago suburbs. Blues Brothers just tires me out at this point. I have no good feelings for it any longer. And Saturday Night Live has never been funny, so it wasn't funny on that. So, like, the one good... here's one thing I will praise about John Belushi. Are you ready for this?
All right.
He got the band Fear to play on SNL, and that was a good performance.
See, I like Blues Brothers. I remember liking Animal House. I haven't watched it in, like, a long time.
I mean, the problem is John Landis cannot direct a film. I mean, even his quote-unquote good films are not very well directed.
American Werewolf in London?
That movie is like 3 good scenes and a bunch of dreck.
Whew. You're bringing the fucking fastballs today.
And I mean, like, Trading Places is very funny, but it's also probably about a half hour too long. Trading Places is like over 2 hours long. It's ridiculous. It doesn't, or almost 2 hours long, I should say. It does not need to be that long.
I've never seen Trading Places.
Whoa.
There's a lot of shit I haven't seen.
You should see Trading Places. Trading Places is very funny. But like I said, it is probably
like half an hour too long.
And about half an hour too long. And I mean, okay, here, Thriller. That's maybe the one thing he's made that I wouldn't say he needs to cut down anymore.
That's like 10 minutes long. Well, they're not okay. You know what? Kentucky Fried Movie I'll go to bat for.
Have you rewatched that recently? Because I don't know if you'd feel that same way if you did.
Is it problematic?
I mean, it is wild problematic, but I meant more in terms of, like, I don't think it works anymore. Like, I think there's certain segments at work. I mean, like any sketch movie, it's hit and miss.
Here's the thing. I hate to go on a digression. Like, I recently rewatched Airplane, which is the
gold standard for Zucker Brothers movies.
Yeah, it's probably the best stupid movie ever made. And that held up really well. So I think that a slightly less good version of that probably holds up as well too.
We'll see. And I mean, I also I will slightly go to back for Schlock.
I never seen Schlock.
Schlock, Ross made me watch it for our podcast. Mm-hmm. And it's also too long, and it's only 80 minutes. I'd also consider it about a half hour too long, because it's got one joke, and that joke kind of gets old, but it does that joke pretty well. But the point is, I don't think that John Landis overall is a good director. He's also, involuntary manslaughter and all that. But
and the father of Max Landis.
And the father of Max Landis, which is probably a greater crime, if anything.
I don't think John Landis has made a relevant movie in my lifetime. Because Coming to America was 88.
Blues Brothers 2000? You don't think that's a relevant movie?
I don't think that's a relevant
movie. The Stupids? I've seen people go to bat for The Stupids, to be fair.
I always confuse that movie with Coneheads.
See, I always confuse it with, oh my gosh, what's that movie where, like, all the people are bugs?
All the people are bugs? Joe's Apartment?
No. It's not Joe's Apartment, asshole. It's like a suburban family, but they're bugs. Is this making sense at all, or not really?
I mean, I can't get like an immediate read.
Hold on, I'm gonna pull up my Pass the Popcorn torrents list because I know I downloaded it.
Is it like it's not The Burbs, right?
No. I know my Tom Hanks films. Now there's a war criminal.
Man, you're just bringing the heat, aren't you?
That one was
parody.
That one was half sarcastic. Did you see when... did we talk about this last week, how he gave his blood and then QAnon people he went wild?
I know we talked about it. I don't know if we talked about it on the pod.
Yeah. Tags. Comedy. I will know the poster as soon as I see it. It's one of those things. Also, they might not be bugs.
Well.
Basically, like, nothing I told you about this might actually be correct.
It's not a movie at all.
Ghost Dad. No, there's a movie.
I just saw a poster for Leonard Part 6, so we're in the same headspace.
I've never seen Leonard Part 6, but I did see Ghost Dad, which you shouldn't.
Sucks?
Yeah, it sucks pretty hard. But I mean, the fact that essentially he dies because... I'm pretty sure I told you this before. That he dies because a Satanist thinks that he's actually the devil and gets too excited and drives off a bridge is pretty good.
You did tell me that.
I'm going to go through this whole list and not see it, aren't I? This is going to be the worst diversion.
Oh, you know what's probably good? It looks pretty stupid, but it looks good. Amazon Women on the Moon. It's another one of those omnibus films, right?
I feel I saw it on like cable when I was a kid. I remember not liking it very much, but I was a kid.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I didn't like mustard either. So
it's good. It's the Great Bikini Off-Road Adventure. Now there's a film.
God, what's the one that I'm thinking of? I think it's
Lord of the G-Strings, the female ship of the string.
Oh no, it's not. Sometimes I confuse Jim Wynorski with David Dakota.
I feel like that's unfair. I think Jim Wynorski is a better filmmaker than David Dakota.
Oh, I think you're right.
But I think also Jim Wynorski has given up a long time ago. Did you ever see that documentary about the making of Witches of Brestwick?
No, I think you must have talked about it.
Yeah, it's a really good documentary, and it's basically just about how he doesn't want to do movies anymore, but he has to make money, so he makes movies in like a week.
Yeah, Sorority Babes and the Slime Ball Bolorama.
I wish that were way better than it is. It's such a great title, and it's got Linnea Quigley, but man, that's a boring movie.
Yeah?
Yeah, I got it because I had a 3-movie set of Linnea Quigley films that on the back advertised itself as sexy horror, and there's at least 2 problems with that description.
It's not scary and it's not sexy?
Yes. Okay, so I looked through the entire list of comedies I've downloaded on... Oh, wait, hold on. Here's how we do it. Tom Arnold.
Tom Arnold?
Tom Arnold. Who's a Q guy, did you know?
Yeah, he was on the QAnon podcast, wasn't he?
Yeah. That was a fucking wild, what do you call it? Episode. Highly recommended. Okay, I have no idea what I was looking for, because I'm looking at all of these and none of them are the correct one, and the stupids I don't think is it, but I remember very specifically, like, I can conceptualize in my head of a movie poster, and it's like a painted movie poster of a family of bugs that are dressed in people clothes in front of like a suburban house. If anyone knows what I'm talking about, please message me, because this is going to bother me for a long time. Anyways, Indiana Jones, you were saying.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm okay. Well, if you don't know, if for some reason you've been living under a rock since the late 80s, Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade is the third Indiana Jones film. It co-stars Sean Connery as Harrison Ford's dad. He goes missing. There's a search for the Holy Grail, and lots of sort of kid-friendly adventure shit happens.
That's a good way to put it.
And Nazis get disintegrated. There's a comical vignette involving Hitler. Hitler fucking shows up. I know I say this a lot, but Hitler shows up a lot in these fucking movies.
He's the muse of IMDb.
I guess that's one way to put it. So yeah, I think it's just kind of like a rip-roaring, fun adventure movie. And Steven Spielberg directs the shit out of it. It's like a comfort food movie. There's not a whole lot to it because it's already been done, arguably in a better fashion. But I think this is kind of just like a fun, rollicking piece of sort of big Hollywood filmmaking. Okay. I mean, that's my piece.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the 2 things I take issue with were I didn't find it that rollicking and I didn't find it that fun. And
well, okay, so how are you gonna argue this?
I'm gonna argue it in 2 ways. One is I think that the cinematography of the movie I really don't like.
Okay.
It bummed me the fuck out. I can't even explain exactly why. It's something about the way that the colors are, like the exact way the colors are expressed, especially like on the blimp. And
Okay.
Is it a blimp or a plane?
Well,
it's
there's
blimp,
both
right?
in the movie.
Well,
there's a blimp.
The no ticket thing.
Okay, that's a blimp.
Blimp. Okay, so the colors in the blimp, and then also the colors during the tank scene towards the end. They
Great
just bum me the fuck out.
So the color grading bums you out?
There's something about the color grading and the way it's shot. It feels so. What's the best way to put it? The color feels flat,
cheap?
But in a way that is like. It's one of those things where like, I can texturally like feel the color, and it feels like bright sun after a hangover.
Okay,
in like a really unpleasant way, and
it is kind of yellowy the whole movie. But I'm colorblind, so I don't give a shit.
Okay, so I mean there's that. I found like the colors kind of gross, and like they look really hurt my head. Like they literally bummed me out, so I couldn't enjoy the movie. And there's the other problem of, like you say that the movie kind of like never stops, and the movie kind of feels like it's always stopping to me.
Interesting.
Like it doesn't feel like it ever builds up momentum. Even in the big like fight scenes and the action scenes, they feel very sluggish and kind of.
I don't know.
And it's not just to say that like, oh, it's an old movie, so it's sluggish. I think that's a very facile thing, and I think that that's something that could be interpreted from what I'm saying. It's not because of that. Like, there's plenty of old movies with, like we talked about, what do you call it? The Wages of Fear the other week, which is a movie I found incredibly exciting. But something about these action scenes, just nothing felt like it had any stakes. Nothing felt like it had any weight to it, and it wasn't fun enough to make up for the fact that I didn't care about it.
That's so weird, because my thinking of it was that this movie was like all set piece. It like so like this is like a fundamental disagreement.
Here's the pulling back the curtain, and something that could have contributed to this that I'm thinking about now is that I was eating Chinese food that wasn't very good while I was watching this.
Oh my god.
I don't think that that's the entire explanation for how I feel. I do feel if I went back and watched it, I still wouldn't really enjoy it. But I think that maybe contributed to how I was feeling, where I was like, this food sucks. These mushrooms are overcooked. And also this movie's on. And then like the two were kind of congealed in my mind.
Wow.
I think being a critic means being honest. And
yeah, sure.
I feel like that definitely is a contributing factor. And I also I think that Sean Connery can be very funny. I think that playing against type here, he doesn't work very well. And I found him fucking annoying.
I don't know.
And I usually like Sean Connery. Like, quite a bit.
Yeah, me too. I think... Here's the thing. No one ever asks Sean Connery to try.
That is true.
They just want Sean Connery. And this sort of PG-13 twist on Sean Connery, where he like plays like an actual like old guy.
He plays an academic. He plays like a fuddy-duddy, essentially.
Yeah, he plays a fuddy-duddy. He plays like he makes like lame dad jokes. You know, I don't know. I mean, I thought this movie was. I was thoroughly under this film's spell.
Gotcha. I mean,
but also I wasn't eating anything at the time, so.
And then I'm not sure if we should save this till next time we talk about it, because I have a feeling you're going to force this through anyways. Even though I wouldn't personally move it through. But should we talk about?
Let's talk about Room. Or
okay.
Wait a minute.
I was gonna say.
Go ahead.
Shit. I was gonna say. How do you react to like the father-son dynamics in this? Is that something that like tugs at you or tugs at your heartstrings or is familiar to you? Because with the father-son relationship in the movie, it feels very father-son specific, and I felt like as someone who was not a son, it was hard for me to get on the same wavelength.
I mean,
obviously, I can. It's not that I cannot empathize with father-son relationships. Like, one of the things that will make me cry the most is watching Rushmore, and the relationship between Ben Stiller and Gene Hackman, like, makes me sob whenever I watch it. It said for some reason in this, it didn't.
Wait, you mean Royal Tenenbaums?
Yes, thank you.
Like, what the fuck? Okay.
Continue. Sorry.
So, because the father-son relationship is like.
Is it a major part of the movie for you?
I mean, it's a part of the movie, but I think it's just color. The quest is always the A plot. The rest is just dressing.
Okay.
I mean, I can vibe with an I can vibe with like an absentee father figure who has
Good
an
intentions.
obsession that is parallel to yours.
Okay.
But like, it seems clear to me that neither Jones has struck the balance. I think that's an interesting wrinkle in the film, but by no means is it like, I don't think of this necessarily as a father-son movie.
Interesting.
Even though it's like The Hook, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say, because like when I think of this film in the cultural memory, I think of it as a father-son bonding kind of movie.
I think that's part of it, but it's a movie about adventure and expertise.
I think here's also a real thing: is I wanted the puzzles to be more clever.
I mean,
they're very facile, and they're not even like entertainingly facile. Like, I hate to just cite National Treasure, but I think National Treasure, both movies, like especially the first one though, is kind of a masterpiece and kind of brilliant in a really dumb way. And its puzzles are so dumb, but they require a weird knowledge of American history to work that I find them charming. Whereas like in this, like, oh, you have to know that Jehovah spelled with an I, even though when you actually look at the block, it's J. But you have to like know that. I was like, okay, I don't really. That's fine, I guess. It's not to the same. It's not what I'm looking for. Let's say, I want better puzzles.
I don't know. I feel like they both kind of follow this weird, like, a point and click adventure game logic to it.
Yeah,
and yeah, I don't really like. I mean, this is not something that I would put against the screenwriters of the film. Let's put it that way.
Okay. So, Room. We've talked a lot about
Room.
This is
about Indy 3.
Yeah. So let's talk about the film you did your doctoral thesis on, right? That's how this works?
Yes, exactly. We're going to talk about the Tommy Wiseau film Room. So let's get this right out of the way. I think, like, this is for both of us, this was the first time that we had seen this movie, correct?
Yes. I'd heard of it for a while, but
I get the feeling that you and I both not avoided this film, but didn't see it because it was, it was an awards era. It was an awards season player.
It was an awards season player, and it sounded like a fucking bummer.
It sounded dull. For me, it was like, okay, another one of these. Oscar drama, right?
See, I didn't actually think of it that way, personally.
Okay, so that was me.
Yeah, I did think of it as like, oh, this is going to get awards play, but didn't have the same air as like when I think of award season drama, I think of something like A Beautiful Mind. Whereas I was like, I knew this was going to be more raw. I knew this was going to be a little bit more
not as treacly,
unflinching, yet, and like a little less treacly. But I still didn't want to watch it because A, it sounded dull. It was still 2 hours long of misery. And if I'm going to watch 2 hours of misery, I'd prefer it to be heightened melodrama instead of like a realistic story of a thing that basically actually happened.
Okay.
And I didn't trust Brie Larson as a dramatic actress.
Interesting.
Well, because I'd never really seen her in much.
That's true. Have I seen her in anything?
I mean, have you seen the Avengers movies?
No. Well, not the ones that she was in.
Yeah. I mean, she's good in those. She's as much as anyone can be good in those in the limited role that they're given. But I didn't have the opinion of her like, oh, she's going to do well. I just didn't think it would happen.
Scott Pilgrim, of course.
Who is she in Scott Pilgrim?
She plays Envy Adams in Scott Pilgrim.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, and I think that's the only one. Yeah, that remains the only other film of hers that I've seen.
Good flick too. But
she's good in that.
She is good in that. But it's not the kind of role that prepares you to play this role.
No.
Which we should.
And to be fair, there was 5 years between those two.
Well, yes.
So Room is based on the bestseller by Irish-Canadian novelist Emma Donoghue about a woman who is basically locked in a shed and for nearly a decade is kept there and has a son which is fathered by her rapist, basically, and endures that shit for like 7 years, and we'll leave it at that. Okay.
Well, let's just do spoilers. Like, they get out.
Oh yeah, spoilers. They get out, but then there's another hour to the movie.
Yes, which I'm so glad about.
Yes,
and this is we should say is based off a true story as well. Don't look into it unless you want to be incredibly depressed.
Yeah, it's not fun. Let's put it that way. So, so this movie is good. I like this movie.
Damn good. I mean, I had a real emotional reaction watching it. I think we both had the same issue, which we'll get to in a moment. But I think we should do the positives of it first. It stuck with me. Like the past few days, I've been thinking about it pretty consistently. To the point where I almost want to bump it up to 4.5 stars. Except there's that like nagging problem of the thing we didn't like. But I will say that I was wrong. But Brie Larson, completely wrong. She is genuinely stunning in this film. Like if I would have seen this film the year it came out, she probably would have been my favorite actress of the year.
It's a very good performance.
Ridiculously good. And then Jacob Tremblay, who plays her son, is also like child actors aren't supposed to be this good. They're just not. Yeah.
Homie won Canadian Screen Award for Best Actor for his performance.
Yeah, and he's just fucking amazing. Like there's a way that most child actors would play this, where it's a little overwrought and it's annoying and you don't really... And there's a problem that a lot of kids' films have, where I can understand where a kid is coming from when they act irrationally or when they act in a way that is frustrating, but it's still frustrating because I know this is just a movie. Whereas when he does it, I felt just total empathy for him, and I was like, this is really annoying in the moment, but also like, I get it. Like, I get where you're coming from. I get why you're frustrated. I get why you're mad and why you're crying and why you're yelling right now. Like, it feels so lived in and authentic that it inspired, I mean, almost like motherly feelings in me towards him.
Okay. I thought I'm a little less high on this movie than you are.
Okay.
I thought it was like expertly performed. The sort of thing that you dislike about the child actors that you had just mentioned, I think creeps in only one instance in the film, and that's the voiceover.
Okay. I mean, I get you. I could see why the people might not like that. I actually didn't mind that, but I could see why that would come across as cloying, especially.
I think the movie is at least a half star better without the narration.
Wow. I don't think it's... I mean, so to you, it's Blade Runner, essentially.
Basically.
Whereas, like, I didn't mind the narration at all. I thought it added pretty well, and I thought having that interiority from him worked.
But here's the thing. I think I got a lot of that just from the performance.
Sure.
The one... And I'm going to step on our thing a little bit. It's like, the one thing that Lenny Abramson kind of nails in this film is the close-ups of Jacob Tremblay.
Okay, yes.
That's like the one thing.
And, I mean, I'm one who would usually argue for that point, but for some reason it just didn't bother me this time. Sure. I couldn't say why, just a personal preference kind of thing. For me, it worked. And I thought it was additive instead of subtractive. Probably because it was like low-rent Malick almost.
Yeah, like the first thing that I thought of was like, this is like a shittier version of the Thin Red Line.
Yeah, except instead of being these philosophical musings.
No, not Thin Red Line. Days of Heaven. I haven't seen Thin Red Line yet.
Oh my God, Derek!
That's one of the Malicks I haven't seen.
Oh boy, how do I do a podcast with you if you haven't seen every single Malick movie? You have to see every single Malick movie.
I think there's 3 that I haven't seen.
Okay.
I haven't seen Thin Red Line. No, there's more than that. I haven't seen Thin Red Line.
Okay.
I own it. I haven't seen New World.
And you haven't seen To the Wonder, have you?
I haven't seen To the Wonder, and I haven't seen
his 3 best movies.
And I haven't seen Knight of Cups.
Which is also very good. But you haven't seen his 3 best movies, which in my opinion are To the Wonder, The New World, and Thin Red Line, which are all fucking incredible. Although, sometimes Thin Red Line switches with Song to Song, which I know I'm extremely high on, and you're not, but...
I'm okay.
You're okay on
medium.
it. You're lukewarm on it.
I'm okay on it.
Whereas I think it's a masterpiece. But...
I mean, I think that Terry Malick has like 4 masterpieces. They're just not the same 4.
Yes. Whereas I think that his worst film is Badlands, even though everyone loves that movie.
That's insane.
It's too normie.
I mean, even early on.
No, the second half of that movie is when he actually becomes Terrence Malick. The first half is when he's being a different director, and it's not good.
Yeah, but Warren Oates is in that half of the movie.
Okay, good for Warren Oates. I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know, man. That movie's fucking awesome.
It's a 4-star movie, just like Room. It's as good as Room.
Oh no, I like Badlands better than this.
Okay, but the point I think I was originally trying to make is that the voiceover works for me, and it has that kind of freed from time feeling, and giving voice to thoughts that I thought helps personally. I thought helped bring me into his world and bring me into what he was thinking, how he was viewing things. But I think even if we ignore those, something that works really well is the way that these two people, the mother and the son, respond totally differently to both the trauma itself and to coming out of the trauma and to moving through the trauma.
That's where the movie's strengths lie, I think.
Yeah. Like, I think the first half of this movie is the part that got people to actually watch it, because you hear that sensationalist thing and it sounds like, oh, I need to watch that. And then the second half of the movie is what actually makes the movie worth it. Not that the first half is bad. I think the first half is very, very good. It's just that if it was just stuck in that room the whole time, it would become overwhelming, because it's already incredibly difficult to deal with as it is. In a good way, like it's supposed to be difficult to deal with. It's supposed to be harrowing, but it would be too much if it was more than that first hour. And having that second hour where they process this trauma and they process what they went through, and there's especially a scene, like the two kind of scenes that really kind of fucked me up. Number one was the scene where she sits down to do the TV interview. Yeah. And essentially the the person who's interviewing her is like, well, why didn't you just have him take your son to a hospital so that way he could have lived a normal life? And it's a simple question. It's kind of a dick question. I don't think it's a fair question, but it's also a question that's
the kind of question that they would ask.
And it's the kind of question that once you hear, sticks in your brain. And you're like, and you can tell it sticks in Brie Larson's brain. I mean, she tries to kill herself because of it, because she thinks that she did this terrible thing, that she didn't just give her son up. And obviously in a quote unquote rational sense, that's not really how it worked in that situation, and blaming her for that in that situation is completely absurd. But you understand where she's coming from and how much that upsets her. And that kind of was like very difficult for me to deal with. And the other one, and this is, the movie verges on sentimentality at moments. I think it's able to push past it, and I think it works. But what I'm going to describe the scene that really hurt me and like or really like affected me, it's going to sound cheesy. And it's a scene where like the entire movie, Jacob Tremblay has really long hair, because he thinks like that's where his strong is, to use the phrase in the movie. And his mom goes to the hospital after the suicide attempt. He tells his grandmother like, hey, I want to cut my hair off and send it to mom to like give her my strength, essentially. And then when she comes back, she like shows him that and says like, you saved me twice. And it's just like, I was like sobbing. It's a kind of thing that should read as cheesy, and I think would read as cheesy in a movie that was less emotionally complex. But because you've seen exactly what's happened with these characters and you know their interiority so well, it comes across as an honest statement of love and motherly affection. Right. And it devastated me.
And Joan Allen's kind of the secret MVP of this movie, isn't she?
Yeah, she's really fucking good.
Like the scene, the key scene where it's like, okay, I get it now. Like I got this. Like I got it, but it's like now I get it. Is like the scene where it's Brie Larson, Jacob Tremblay, and Joan Allen in the living room, and Joan Allen and Brie Larson fight.
Yeah,
and she has that like they kind of have that shouting match. And I was watching the movie in parts with Steph, and she pointed out very correctly that it's good that she has these kind of like 17-year-old reactions, like she's reacting to this like a fucking child.
Yeah,
because that's the last time that she had interaction with like people.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like, okay, that's the point where I'm like, okay, all right.
Yeah. And it does that so well without shoving it in your face. Like the fact that when we go into her room, it's her same room from when she was abducted. Like they didn't change anything. And that in of itself is like, oh my gosh, that is like a gut punch when you see that, because it's like, oh, this is who she was in the past. And there's a period of time just missing essentially from her life. And it's like she's been reinserted into it and doesn't really know what to do.
I will say this about this movie. This movie has a real light touch, like pretty much all the way through. It could have been very overwrought. It could have been very heavy-handed. We'll get to heavy-handedness just in a second.
I mean, I agree except for one choice, but sorry.
What choice?
The fucking post-rock music, the first time that Jacob Tremblay sees the outside world outside of the shed.
Like the fucking Mogwai drop or whatever?
Yeah, that is a little overbearing and is too obvious to me.
I'm kind of into it because that's how I feel all the time when I do something new. That's the music that goes through my head when I feel overwhelmed.
You were always hearing explosions in the sky.
Yeah, I'm always hearing it's always the same song. It's always fuck. It's always one particular Mogwai song.
Mogwai Fear Satan?
No.
Like Herod.
Less cool. No. Mogwai discography.
Young team? What are we doing here?
Nope. We're just naming Mogwai songs until we fucking land on the one. It's Auto Rock.
Okay.
From Mr. Beast. That's the song I always hear when I'm overwhelmed.
Did I ever tell you the joke that I saw in a forum when I was like 16 that still makes me laugh whenever I think about it?
What's that?
I was on a post-rock forum, or it was like Ultimate Guitar Forums or something. And I was on there with my friend Marcus, who I was in a band with. And we were like looking up something, I don't remember what it was. But someone on the forum said, and this is a really dumb joke, so it's not going to live up to the hype, but someone on the forum said, post-rock is really gay, more like explosions in some guy, am I right? And whenever I think of that, it makes me smile, and I will like text my friend Marcus and just be like, explosions in some guy, am I right? And it's...
That's gotta be like top 10 stupidest things I've ever heard in my life.
Right? It's like the only thing I remember from, there's that one comedy special, or it's not really a comedy special, it's a Let's Talk About Comedy special between Chris Rock, Louis C.K., Jerry Seinfeld, and
Ricky Gervais.
And the one thing I always remember from that is the sitting on a cock because I'm gay instead of sitting on the dock of the bay.
Yeah.
Anyways, should we get to the direction of this film?
Yeah. Lenny Abramson can't direct himself out of a fucking paper bag.
Yeah. Oh my god, this thing is cut to fucking ribbons. It is ridiculous.
It's no bueno. It is it's one of the most over-directed films I've seen in a good long while.
Yeah. And it's a real bummer.
Yeah, because this, like I said before, this is a movie with a light touch. But Lenny Abramson does not have a light touch. I have not seen his previous films or any of his other films, including Frank,
Roscoe's
which is his other
Frank.
one.
I kind of want to see it because it seems really absurd.
It seems weird. I feel like his style is more suited to that material.
Yeah. Something less grounded.
And apparently Emma Donoghue vouched for him.
Ooh.
She was like pulling for him.
Emma, baby, don't do that. Oh boy. I think with a different director at the helm, like even if we change this to something more workmanlike in the direction, I think it goes up a half star for me. And I think if we change to a good director, then I think this might be a like 5-star movie for me if it had a good director, like for real.
Yeah. I think if you get just like a carpenter, someone with like a little taste and a little restraint, this is a 4-star movie for me. As it stands, it's a 3.5. It's good.
Fair.
It's good.
I think it's real good. But so, oh my god, we've talked about this for a while. So
yeah. So I think we're at odds. We're on different sides of this divide.
I want Room to move forward. I really want to watch it again, to be honest. I mean,
I would 100% rather watch Last Crusade again.
I'd rather rewatch Room.
God. And we're both at 3. No. How many vetoes are we at?
You're at 3 vetoes. I'm at 2, right?
God, you're not going to use another veto.
No. But
for this, are you?
No, because like I don't like Room that much. Like if there was a good director behind Room, yes, I would use a veto. But
how about this?
Mm-hmm.
Let me introduce something on the fly.
Okay.
I'm going to secretly write down my scores for both of these movies.
Okay.
Okay. Now give me your scores out of 5 for both of these movies.
I would give Room a 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I would give Last Crusade probably a 2.5 or 3. Let's go with... let's be generous. Let's go to 3.
All right. So if in aggregate, if we were to be a single person...
God. Okay.
Room would go on. By a hair.
That is quite the metric, Derek.
I mean, there's got to be a way to break these kinds of ties, right? Where neither of us feels that much... Like, where neither of us want to use a veto.
Well,
and
I mean, we're going to have more of these ties in the future. Like, we're not even halfway through this fucking thing.
Yeah.
Not even halfway through the first fucking round. And it's going to get harder going on. And I think that... Here's what I'll say. Is that... is it just... is Temple of Doom on the list too, or is it not?
I can't imagine it being on the list.
Okay, so there's at least one more.
Because that's like the redheaded stepchild of those first three movies, right?
I was gonna say, what about Kingdom of the Crystal Skull or whatever it's called? Is that it? Kingdom of the Crystal Skull?
Temple of Doom is not on here, and Raiders is a bit further up. It's going up against Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind.
Oh fuck!
I know.
Okay,
right? That's a barn burner.
So knowing that, I'm gonna say we can move Last Crusade forward because I'm gonna have way more passion for Nausicaa than I am going to have for Room. Straight up.
Here's the thing, though. I'm gonna have a lot more passion for Raiders than I'll have for Last Crusade.
Well, I guess we will kick this can down the road, and say,
listen,
hey,
I am willing to say, Nausicaa, huh?
Fucking great film.
Yeah, I still think I like Raiders better.
I mean, what do you call it?
I would rather use a veto on Raiders.
Here's what I'll say. Okay, here's me super metagaming.
Okay,
is that Nausicaa is basically just rough draft from Mononoke. And Mononoke is better than Nausicaa. Mononoke is moving forward no matter what. I'm using a veto. I'm just going to say it right now. Mononoke has to move forward. It is...
Well, unless Hotel Rwanda proves to be like an all-time fucking masterpiece, which I doubt, I don't think you'll have to use one.
Okay. So, if we... Let's mind palace this. If we move forward Mononoke... then I'm willing to concede Nausicaa, which means that you get Last Crusade or Raiders, which means that we don't need to move Last Crusade before, and I should get Room.
Well, I mean, that's basically what I was saying by the fact that as an aggregate person, we like Room better.
Okay, but mine is more fun.
Here's the thing: Princess Mononoke I'm just going through the bracket right now. Its first real challenge is going to be in round 3, where I suspect it's going to go up against Boogie Nights.
That's a hell of a matchup.
Yeah, that's only round 3.
Fuck.
This is just getting
harder. What are we doing with this podcast? What are we doing with our lives, Derek?
We're trying to find the best movie of all time, asterisk.
Yes. God.
So I'm willing to concede and allow Room to go forward.
Okay, that's fair
for kind of the same reasons that you said.
Okay, so Room, congratulations.
What a weird result.
Yeah.
I don't know what I anticipated, but it certainly wasn't this. Now let's move on to something a little easier.
Yeah, the Help with a bullet. Silver Bullet.
That's right.
Number 1.
Yeah. God, there's no way the Help makes it to round 3. Even in the most generous readings of this bracket.
It's insane that the Help even made it to round 0.
That's true. What's it doing in this top?
Anyways,
let's not tip our hand. Our next matchup, our second matchup for the day, the 18 seed, the 18th greatest movie of all time, The Matrix, released in 1999, directed by the Wachowskis, written by the Wachowskis, starring Keanu Reeves, Lawrence Fishburne, Carrie-Anne Moss, Hugo Weaving, and the man Joey Pants himself. It cost $63 million to make. It made $465 million in pre-Y2K bucks, and went, I believe, 4 for 4 at the Academy Awards, winning Best Editing, Best Sound Effects Editing, and Best Visual Effects. And also probably one of the most influential films of the last 30 years, easily.
Oh, yeah.
Versus The Help, released in 2011, directed by Tate Taylor, written by Tate Taylor, based on the novel of the same name by Catherine Stockett, starring Emma Stone, Viola Davis, Octavia Spencer, Jessica Chastain, Bryce Dallas Howard, and Allison Janney. Cost $25 million to make. Made $216 million. That's a lot of cheddar. And was an awards season hit, netting all kinds of nominations. It was nominated for, it got 4 nominations in 3 categories, with Octavia Spencer being its sole winner, winning for Best Supporting Actress. So let's talk about The Matrix. As you pointed out in our last episode, the only film in this list directed by a woman or women.
I realized I was slightly wrong. I think it's Babel is co-directed by a woman. But that's
okay.
It.
So the only film on this list solely directed by women.
Yes.
But thankfully, I get the feeling this one's going to go deep in the bracket. you know what? The Matrix still fucking owns bones.
Yeah,
it rips.
I didn't. When I rewatched this, I expected to still really like it. I didn't expect it to like it as much as I did. Like this, every part of this film still fucking rips.
Yeah, it's fucking fantastic. It's a great. I said this right before we turned on our mics, but I'm going to say it again now. It says for a hyper influential action martial arts extravaganza. This is kind of a weirdly earnest film about the power of trust and love.
Yeah, which I mean, that's one of the characteristics of the Wachowskis that I really love. Is they're very earnest. They're not really cynical. Like you watch something like Speed Racer, you watch Cloud Atlas, or you watch Jupiter Ascending, which I think is a masterpiece. Which I know I'm in the minority there, but still, like those are films that are entirely earnest. And I think even from Bound and The Matrix, like the earliest films, you can see that 100%. It's such a rewarding thing to have in an action movie, weirdly, to have this open-heartedness and the sense of love as being still incredibly important. And the most important thing one can do is care about other people.
Because there's a lot of goofball shit in these movies.
Oh, 100%. They're full, like, if you were so inclined, and you were like if you're CinemaSins or whatever.
Sure.
if you're a terrible human being, then you can go through and nitpick these movies and really find a lot of A, silly stuff, B, corny stuff, and C, stuff that just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's to the Wachowskis' credit that I think they know that, and I think they don't give a shit.
Sure. In
the best way possible.
They're very good craftspeople.
Oh, certainly. And they're very good... well, okay. Let me be slightly hesitant there. I was going to say they're very good writers, but if you read the original draft for The Matrix, it's pretty fucking terrible.
Writing's not their strong
world
suit,
building,
but I think world building they're good at. A lot of the ancillary stuff they're great at.
And I think they get good performances too.
On the page, maybe not, but like as a cinematic object, it's like it practically doesn't matter.
Yeah. And this movie has such a long cultural tale that when you approach it now, it feels a bit strange in a way. Because like the whole, like we are so deep into this movie's cultural penetration that the idea of red pilling is just a term completely divorced from The Matrix.
Exactly.
And these are terms embraced by people who The Matrix doesn't like, which is kind of fascinating.
Exactly.
And people who wouldn't like the people who made The Matrix. The fact that The Matrix was made by 2 trans women and red pilling is something for the right, something for the alt-right and for the extreme alt-right is such a fascinating irony. It's kind of like Pepe, how Pepe got co-opted as well.
Mm-hmm.
Except how Pepe kind of fell out of its creator's hands pretty quickly. I feel like The Matrix is a strong enough work that when you watch it again, those associations kind of fade.
Yeah, because all those like alt typers, they sound more like agents than Morpheus.
Yeah, like
that whole spiel about evolution late in the movie,
which I have seen people quote unironically as if they don't realize that he is the fucking villain of the movie. And
yeah,
I mean, to be fair, at one point in time, maybe I was an edgy teen who thought the same thing. It's like, oh yeah, that's a really good point. But the really fascinating thing
about you're an edgy adult now.
I'm an adult. And I think the fascinating thing about the movie is that it has politics that if you just glance at it, I think might look facile. But if you actually consider them and think about them, they're pretty complicated and complex and revolutionary in a lot of ways. Like there's discussions of like, what is our responsibility towards the people that are in the Matrix that don't know they're serving this evil system? What are responsibilities towards these people? Like that's, I think is a fascinating question. Would you choose this, like that, as cheesy as a philosophical subject as it is, if you knew there was a way to know a greater reality, a more true reality, is that the choice you'd make? And obviously,
this is the movie that launched like 100 Philosophy 101 papers.
Yes. And I think for good reason. I think it has a lot to dive into there. And I think when we talk about it more, I'm going to be interested in extracting certain parts of that and talking about them as individual parts because there's a lot to dig into here. But just watching it on first glance, the thing that's really struck me is how cohesive and how iconic it all is.
Yeah, it's like, it's kind of amazing whenever a film or any other sort of cultural object is simultaneously a perfect time capsule and like you're at the exact crossroads of the past and the future. This movie looks like every movie before it. It looks like every movie after it, and yet it is like undeniably its own thing. It launched a million imitators. It gathers from all these sources. It gathers from like anime and kung fu movies and like Hong Kong cinema and shit, and just sort of hoovers it all in and spits out Kirby style, this like unique, weird object. Can you imagine paying your money to see the new Keanu Reeves movie, and this is what you see?
God, that would be fucking incredible.
Can you? Because in 1999, I was but a young man. I was not hip to this movie whenever it came out. Had I been just a little bit older, this would have melted my brain.
See, I watched this all the time as a kid.
I saw it a couple times, thought it was interesting. The sequels were disappointing. Watched the Animatrix a bunch.
The Animatrix owns. People need to go back and rewatch the Animatrix. I think it's here's my contrarian opinion of this one. I think the Animatrix actually might be the best Matrix movie, but
that sounds wrong.
I'm
not saying that your opinion is wrong. I'm just saying that it sounds wrong.
I watched this movie all the time. I had it on VHS as a kid, and I just watched it like over and over and over again. It was one of those movies I just had on a loop. And
it's so cool, but it's also so dorky.
Yeah. It's a movie that is like has all the aesthetics of cool. Like the leather jackets, the like latex outfits, the fucking rad guns.
The fucking kung fu moves and shit. It's like, no, it's a terminally it might be the uncoolest cool movie.
Yes. It's a movie where a character is brought back to life by the power of love.
Yeah, 100%. I thought the exact same thing.
Which owns. It's awesome.
It's kind of awesome. You know what's not awesome, though? We're going to talk about the Matrix
we can get way more into the Matrix and get more into specifics. Like, I really later want to get into all the side characters, because I think all of them are fascinating in their own way. Especially Joey Pants is a fascinating character, and that's a fascinating performance, too.
Joey Pants super great in this movie. I do think that like the heat check in this movie, like the secret MVP is Gloria Foster as the Oracle.
Oh, 100%. I was literally about to mention her next.
That scene is from a different movie, but it fits perfectly in the Matrix.
It's a scene that the movie like absolutely needs, and they nail it perfectly. And she's the reason why. Like, she gives the performance that movie exactly needs at that moment, and it's amazing. I mean, and also Hugo Weaving is so good.
Awesome. This might be like the career-defining performance for Hugo Weaving. That's going to be on his Hall of Fame.
Wild, because he has had quite the career.
Yeah, I know. He was in Lord of the Rings. He was in all sorts of shit. It's going to be Agent Smith.
Yeah.
When I think of Hugo Weaving, I automatically think of... He was previously on this podcast as V in V for Vendetta. This is the movie that I'm always going to associate Hugo Weaving with.
And I mean, it might be the Keanu Reeves one, too.
Keanu
has a deeper bench and more iconic characters, but I think like if I were to choose, hey, what's the Keanu Reeves movie? I think I might go with The Matrix. I think John Wick's too new. I don't know if I can judge it yet.
Well, it's got to be like John Wick, Neo, Johnny Utah,
Bill.
Maybe Ted.
Yeah, sorry. Duh. Bill is Alex Winter. I know this, people. I'm not a faker.
Have you seen Freaked?
Freaked? No, I have not.
Yeah. Basically, it's Alex Winter's blank check that he did after Bill and Ted. He co-directed this kind of like campy, like splatter gore comedy.
Huh. That sounds kind of rad.
With heavy makeup. There's like lots of like makeup effects and practical stuff. I bet you'd be really into it. And that's been on my to-watch list for a while.
I am literally Googling it right now so I can look it up later.
But now we're going to talk about a different movie that's not as good as Freaked, probably. We're going to talk about The Help.
Your favorite movie of the list so far, right?
This movie was a contender, huh?
This movie's really on this list.
Yeah, written and directed by living on a plantation ass Tate Taylor.
Oh boy, how do we approach The Help?
Okay. So
there's so many bad parts about it that I literally don't know where to begin. Should we talk about the few things that are good?
Okay. I think that the cast is very overqualified.
Yes, and I think that
they're real tucking into this material.
Yes. Some of them better than others. Like, I think that the best are Chastain, Viola Davis, and
Chastain's. Yeah, well, yeah, Davis Spencer. I was kind of wary about Jessica Chastain's like Southern bimbo shtick, but it does work.
Yeah, it's the least nuanced maybe of the performances.
100%.
But it's definitely the most fun. She's the only one that's having fun in the movie. Everyone else is fucking miserable.
Yeah. And I mean, Emma Stone was like fine. Emma Stone has like great natural.
Emma Stone's
charisma.
always like fine.
I think we've had this discussion in the chat about how
Probably.
like there's not like a great Emma Stone performance. There's a bunch of good ones.
Yes.
I still think that my favorite performance of hers is in Superbad.
Thought you were gonna say Aloha. Your favorite movie.
I didn't see Aloha.
No one saw Aloha. But
a lot of people go to bat for that.
Yeah, fucking weirdos. Like that's one of those film Twitter things I don't get. Like, to be fair, I haven't seen Aloha. I'm not gonna watch Aloha. I'm not doing this. Like, that's a bridge too far. Like this far, no further. I'm not watching Aloha.
Is it on the list? It's probably not on the list.
It's not on the fucking list. Everyone hated it. It's only fucking freaks on film Twitter who think that Aloha is good.
Cameron Crowe completists?
God, I fucking hate Cameron Crowe so much. He's never made a good movie.
Almost Famous is pretty good.
No, it's not. But okay, we're not talking about Almost Famous. We're talking about The Help.
Oh, shit. I just remembered that I had a tab open to make a joke to refer to something from like 15 minutes ago, so I'll just do it now.
Okay.
More like the fire in our cocks will beckon the thaw.
Oh boy, that...
Yeah.
Ugh. I'm really like...
Well,
are you proud of that one?
I'm sure I could have done better, but...
Okay. Did you think that Tate Taylor was proud of The Help?
Here's the thing. I read on the Wikipedia page that I think that Octavia Spencer did this as a solid to her friend Tate Taylor.
Yes.
Because apparently they were friends. Or are friends.
Well, they're not
Tate
our
Taylor,
friends. I don't know.
They're not our friends. Tate Taylor, not the worst director. I think he directed this better than Lenny Abramson directed Room.
Sure. He's functional.
He's competent. But the real problem with this film is the script. The real problem with the film is like the incident. Like, here's my thing.
We should say what the plot of this movie is real quick, just so people know, in case you don't know what The Help is about.
Okay, so Emma Stone is a young and up-and-coming writer. She gets a job as a journalist, writing bullshit. And...
Okay, pause on that real quick. I want to come back to that, like put a pin in that on the writing bullshit thing, but continue.
Well, she thinks it's bullshit. Anyway, so concordant with her trying to get a gig after graduating from Ole Miss, we have the stories of two maids, Octavia Spencer and Viola Davis, and they're working for white families, and they're basically raising the families, and the white ladies are not very nice, let's put it that way. And through a series of events, it comes to pass that Emma Stone wants to tell the world the story of what it is for black maids to raise white children in Jackson, Mississippi, where the movie is set. Basically turning this into kind of a Hamaklef.
Yes.
And all sorts of racist shit happens also in the movie. Because it's like 1962, and I think
and
that
it's Jackson, Mississippi.
It's Jackson, Mississippi. You need an angle or a specific kind of angle or a specific kind of touch when dealing with civil rights era material. And Tate Taylor has neither.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems with this premise. There's a lot of problems with this movie, but I think like the one that kind of fascinates me the most, and the one that I think is maybe the biggest problem, or at least the most glaring problem to me, is that I think there's an interesting story conceptually somewhere in here. Like the idea of black maids caring for white children, essentially being their mothers, and being more of their mothers than their actual mothers.
Than their mothers, yeah.
Is fascinating and heartbreaking. Like there's a scene later on that I think is one of the best scenes in the film, even though it's treacly bullshit. But where I forget which character it is, but one of the two other leads, either Viola Davis or Octavia Spencer, has to leave her charge. Has to.
I believe it is Viola. I believe it is Viola Davis.
I think you're right. Yeah. Has to leave the kid that she's been taking care of, and that kid cares more about her leaving than anything that happened with her mom.
Yeah.
And that there, like when I saw that scene, I was like, I'm not affected by this because, I mean, literally in a sense, but I mean, I'm not emotionally affected by it because this is being done poorly, but I feel like there's a good movie here where this could be fascinating. The problem is that
it's a good nut.
This is a movie about Viola Davis and Octavia Spencer, where Viola Davis and Octavia Spencer are side characters.
Yeah, basically, this is the main character in this movie is Emma Stone.
Yeah, it's like such a weird construction, and it approaches the entire thing from the point of view of all the white characters. And
yes,
the moments where it becomes interesting is when it stops doing that for a second, or when there is more of a one-on-one interaction. Like, I think the interactions between Octavia Spencer and Jessica Chastain are really good.
Yeah. The most genuine kind of human moments in the film.
Yes. But at the same time, it's also Jessica Chastain being the white person that every white person in the audience thinks they'd be, where they're just cool with black people, even though it's 1963 in Jackson, Mississippi. And that is one of the biggest problems with the movie as a whole. Is it basically doesn't see structural racism as a thing. It sees... there's a bunch... Essentially, it's like, hey, there's a bunch of individual people that need to be fixed, instead of saying, hey, this whole society is a problem.
Yeah, Bryce Dallas Howard plays like just a cartoon evil bad guy in this movie. It's like, this is the mean racist person, right? Not everyone else.
Yeah. And...
Even though they are.
I think a better version of this movie implicates Emma Stone more. Because Emma Stone essentially gets off scot-free. Even, like, there's a couple awkward things in the beginning, but then she's the one who, like, feels bad for the maid that raised her, who her mom sent off in a fit of racism. I mean, that's basically what happened. A fit of racism happens, and then...
the thing is, like, the fact that there were other racists there forced me to be more racist than I normally would be, because Allison Janney's character is already painted as racist beforehand.
Yeah.
So, what is with the fried chicken leitmotif in this film?
Yeah, that is another thing that, like, hey, maybe just think about this for a moment. Like, hey, director, like, look at what this looks like.
Like, that means Tate Taylor wrote this for his friend, and then made his friend fucking take a piece of fried chicken in anger, practically off screen, and just hoover it down like a cartoon character to underline a point.
Yeah.
It's insane.
God.
This movie was not very good, Isabel.
No, I mean,
and this,
we didn't even talk about the poop pie.
The poop pie, the toilets on the lawn. I think what I said in the chat is that this is a white Lee Daniels movie.
Which I think gives it more credit than it's worth. Because at least, like, the Paperboy is insane. The Help wants to be insane. And it's not.
Yeah, this feigns towards being a white Lee Daniels movie. There's, like, the poop pie. There's the toilets on the lawn, which was, like, a very clunky joke because it's all based on the fact that the word Coates was in a newsletter, a racist newsletter that Emma Stone had to, like, include. Basically she's typing up copy for a newsletter.
Yeah.
And she, like, whited out the word coat or coats for commodes.
That's a real plot point, everybody. That's a real plot point.
And then their fucking kid takes a shit on the lawn, or on the toilet on the lawn. And 5 seconds after that, there's, like, this intense moment that Isabel was talking about just now.
Oh, God.
This is an insane movie for dumb people.
Full of great actresses.
The cast is stacked. Every redhead you love is in this movie. Because let's go down the white cast list. No, the only one not there is Amy Adams, but we do have Emma Stone, Jessica Chastain, Bryce Dallas Howard, Sissy Spacek, Allison Janney.
I also liked...
Now,
I was going to say, I liked Sissy Spacek's role as well.
Yeah, she was like the old fart who didn't really give a rat's ass.
Yeah.
She's barely in this movie.
Yeah, she's in like 3 scenes, and one of them is just to laugh at the person eating the poop.
This movie's fucking stupid.
And it's like as you're talking about this, one thing I just thought of again is there's a thing that happens. I'm not going to go super into the plot because it doesn't really matter.
Oh shit, I think I know what you're talking about.
There's a thing that happens where I don't think that we're talking about the same thing, but you're free to bring up your thing next. Where essentially all the other people in the black community didn't want to help Emma Stone with her project because it's dangerous. Like, very literally very dangerous. Like, that's but an incident happens that inspires all of them to help with this project and to contribute their stories. And we see like half of one of those stories, and then we go away from them. And I'm like, wait, what are we doing? This is the whole interesting part of the movie. Like, I want to know these people's stories. Isn't that the whole point of this movie, is for me to learn these people's stories? But no, like, it just flashes away from it in a second while Emma Stone looks pensively and like with interest at people who are saying things that I want to hear.
Yeah, we don't really get into like Octavia Spencer's abusive husband.
Yeah, that's a plot point that barely exists in the film, but it feels like it's supposed to be a bigger part of it. Like, it's implied once, and then at the end it said like, oh, and she got out of that relationship. But like,
no, the thing that I was thinking about was, let me just ring the spoiler alarm.
When she burns the fried chicken.
No, it wasn't the fried chicken. It was Jessica Chastain's miscarriage graveyard trees.
Fuck, that's a real thing too.
Her fucking miscarriage garden. Which black metal bands out there, that one you can take that one for free.
And not to quibble with the plot points of this movie, but also there's a moment in this where Octavia Spencer like fucking rams through a door to get to Jessica Chastain. What the
That's
fuck
right,
is that?
She fucking Charles Bronson's through a door.
Yeah. She's like slams through the door, and then she's like Jessica Chastain on the ground, like covered in blood because she had another miscarriage. It's the weirdest, most jarring thing, but it barely is a blip in the movie because okay, another thing about Jessica Chastain's character. So there's just so much to talk about this movie. It's a perfect movie for us because there's so much to talk about. But
it's perfect because it sucks ass.
There's a part in the movie where Jessica Chastain's character goes to like a society dinner. I think it's for like Christmas or something. And there's like
some bullshit.
Yeah, there's like a silent auction or something. And
I won't lie to you. I was kind of
checked out.
I was kind of checked out at that point.
Yeah. And there's a segment where, or in that segment, I kept thinking, oh, Jessica Chastain's character is up to something. There's a layer to this that I'm not seeing, and there's going to be a reveal because she's like palling around and acting very drunk towards characters that she knows doesn't like her. And she thinks that she's a piece of shit and like a terrible person. And it seems like there's going to be like, they're setting something up. But nope, she was just drunk. And that's kind of the whole movie. Or that's the whole scene. Like, oh yeah, she was drunk. Okay. It's such a weird character choice because it feels like there's something leading to it and it just does nothing.
It's not good.
If I may, to close this discussion of The Help up,
please do.
I'm going to read part of an open letter from the Association of Black Women Historians, written by Ida E. Jones. This was.
Oh, you did some homework.
Yeah,
I like this.
This was the last.
I like the ones where you prepare.
This was the last paragraph of her statement, and I feel like it's better to let her close out this than us two white people talking about it.
Yeah, and one of them not being American at all.
Yeah. She says, "We respect the stellar performances of the African-American actresses in the film. Indeed, this statement is in no way a criticism of their talent. It is, however, an attempt to provide context for this popular rendition of Black life in the Jim Crow South. In the end, The Help is not a story about the millions of hardworking and dignified Black women who labored in white homes to support their families and communities. Rather, it is a coming-of-age story of a white protagonist who uses myths about the lives of Black women to make sense of her own. The Association of Black Women Historians finds it unacceptable for either this book or this film to strip Black women's lives of historical accuracy for the sake of entertainment." And I think that's a good way to say that The Help is not moving forward.
No, congratulations to The Matrix. You got a bit of a cakewalk in round one, but you move on.
Which we will throw that press statement into the show notes, by the way.
All right. So that means for round two, we have set up a matchup of Room versus The Matrix.
Okay, I'm feeling I know what wins.
Yeah, me too. But who knows? You might that little extra star that you were talking about might creep up in the next round.
We'll see.
Lots of things can happen in like the year and a half it's going to take for us to get to this point.
I mean, what was the thing that happened last episode? The movie I wanted to move forward?
Was it Hashi that you wanted to move forward?
Yes. So who knows?
I mean, I think The Help is a culturally worse movie, but I'd be lying if I said it pissed me off more than Hashi did.
Really? That's fascinating.
The filmmaking in Hashi is so bad.
Yeah,
at least Tate Taylor is competent.
Puppy.
What's that?
There's a cute puppy. I'm sorry that I like animals.
Oh boy. So do we have any kind of ancillary material before we go to plugs?
Well, we've gone a while, so we're going to skip the the thing where I read for a while, the fan fiction today, because we've been recording for 2 hours for one podcast.
Nearly 2 hours. Yeah, we had a lot to say.
Yeah. So what I do want to do is we have a new review on iTunes there, Derek.
We do. We sure do.
It's from a mysterious person. I have no idea who it could be. Definitely isn't my dad.
All right.
And I wanted to read parts of it and just respond in our own way.
Okay.
So,
all right.
I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's a rather long review. Thank you, person who isn't my dad. But
thanks, not Isabel's dad.
There are 3 points that this anonymous reviewer needs to make. Number 1. Derek, under no circumstances is Two-Lane Blacktop to be referred to as a good movie, even as it relates to engines. Grand Prix is what you should reference when comparing the F1 movie Rush motor photography. I've never seen Two-Lane Blacktop. Derek, please defend Two-Lane Blacktop.
Two-Lane Blacktop was a formative film in my education as a cinephile. I will invite you to go fuck yourself with that opinion. Two-Lane Blacktop is a fantastic film, a great bummer 70s film, a great sort of minimalist car movie. Although, I will take your recommendation and watch Grand Prix.
Yeah, I do want to watch Grand Prix now, too. It's weird. I don't like cars, but I think
Two-Lane Blacktop's a fucking
car
masterpiece.
Movies.
Car movies are cool.
And it's kind of like I don't care for sports, or at least most sports, but I like sports movies sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, sports kind of have like a built-in narrative structure in them.
Yeah. But number 2, Isabel, the Stargate sequence in 2001: A Space Odyssey is 4:57 of wasted film. Additionally,
fuck that! What the hell?
Additionally, the first Star Trek movie has a scene where the Enterprise's approach to Vega's core lasts as long as one would think crossing 82 astronomical units in a Yugo might take. Finally, I don't understand how Hall didn't even get a Best Actor nomination. I agree with that one, but no, that Stargate sequence is, like I said in our discussion, is maybe the ultimate sequence in any film. It's incredible.
Probably, it's up there. And you know what? I think I have it on good authority that first Star Trek movie is a weed dad movie par excellence. So that's also in my queue.
You haven't seen it?
I have not. I haven't seen any of the Star Trek movies.
Wow, that's
actually
shocking.
Not true. I actually saw the first of the new batch.
Oh God, I mean that movie's fine.
Which is fine. It's perfectly okay.
I like Keith Urban in that.
Yeah, he's really good. I like Simon Pegg, who's a very underrated actor.
Yeah. You like him most in Ready Player One, though.
I didn't even know he was in that.
Yeah. You should watch the Star Trek movies. At least like they're pretty good, especially like obviously Search for Spock and what's the one before that? Wrath of Khan. Wrath of Khan is a really great
Wrath
film.
of Khan.
And,
so the first 3, basically.
Oh, well, the first one isn't the best, let's say.
I am down for like overlong bong rip of a sci-fi film.
Okay. Speaking of bong rips, so person who isn't my dad also said, Isabel, you often make my head hurt. I love you to death, but if you're going to continue your sex life on air, please send me a powerful jar of medical marijuana. Which, sorry, Dad, that's going to continue to happen because A, the people love it. People love hearing about
the people can't get enough
that.
Of it.
And 2, I actually want to almost address this kind of half seriously for a second, which is even though I know that my dad listens to this podcast, I have to act as if he is not listening to this podcast, or else I would not be as uninhibited as I am when recording it, which leads to better material. So, sorry, Dad, I have to pretend you don't exist, or a person who isn't my dad, but a person who might speak for my dad's wishes. I have to continue to pretend you're not listening, or else I will stop making good jokes. I
can't imagine this podcast with all of the sex talk.
Right? It feels like an essential part at this point. Especially, I mean, who knows now that, I shouldn't actually say that on air. I was going to, let's say there's a secret project brewing that might involve me talking more about my sex life.
Sure.
With someone else who also has a lot to say about their sex life.
Someone that, if you know me and you know Isabel, you might know who this third person is.
Yes.
We're both quite familiar with this other person.
And then finally, from Person Raising My Dad, Derek, you hang around a bad crowd, but you're an adult. Stay happy, watch movies. Which I have to assume that bad crowd is me.
Also, I love that he butchered our catchphrase at the end.
Yeah, it's great. Derek, am I a bad influence on you?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm my own man. I can make my own decisions.
This is why I think I'm not a bad influence on Derek, because I have not influenced him to do anything. I have told him about many things, but I don't think that Derek has been to any sex dungeons since I last spoke about them.
Not recently.
Or taken any hallucinogens.
No, I'm still 100% hallucinogen free.
Maybe you'll come down to Denver sometime. We'll fix that. But
maybe I'll get all shroomed up.
We'll do an episode like that. Sounds terrible. Sounds like fucking unlistenable, like legitimately.
Okay, so what you want to do is you want to get me all zapped up on shrooms there in the Rocky Mountains and record me? Oof, I don't know about that.
So yeah, that was our fun new review. If you want to leave a review for our podcast, we would not dislike that.
No, you can go to Apple Podcasts and leave us a message, leave us a rating, and criticize our takes, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
question our life choices.
We can handle it.
Yeah, we're adults, right? If you want to get in touch with us in a slightly less roundabout way, you can get in touch with us on Twitter. You can contact me at Derek_G. You can contact Isabel at SpaceJamFan. And you can contact the show at middlebrowpod. You can also drop the pod a line using your email client of choice by typing in middlebrowmadness@gmail.com into that send field and then filling out the body with whatever it is you want to tell us. You can also find us on Letterboxd. We are both at the handles that we use for Twitter. So I am at letterboxd.com/Derek_G. Isabel is at letterboxd.com/SpaceJamFan. Listen to all the other shows on the Noise Space Podcast Network. You can find our show there. The website is noisespace.xyz.
Can I real quick, actually, I know we don't usually do this, but can I shout out a podcast that's not on our network real quick?
Yeah.
I've been listening recently to Know Your Enemy, which is a podcast about the history of conservative thought, but told by two leftists, including one who actually grew up in like conservative academia and went to like college as a conservative and then became a leftist afterwards. It's a really fascinating podcast if you're a nerd like me who's interested in political history and political theory. One of the most recent episodes is a history of the Chicago School of Economics. If you're into that kind of nerd shit, highly recommended.
I feel pressured, so I'm going to recommend a podcast of my own.
For sure.
A podcast that's not on the network. I've been listening to a lot of episodes of the Important Cinema Club podcast.
I actually have been too recently.
Hosted by Justin DeClue and your fave, Isabel Will Sloan, a couple of Torontonians.
Yes.
Who talk about... let's put it this way. Their show is a lot more tight than ours.
Yes. They have less diversions, let's say. Digressions.
I guess while I'm at it, I'd also like to shout out Gold Ninja Video, Justin DeClue's sort of bespoke distribution label. I bought a couple of movies from there a couple of weeks ago. One called Local Legends, one called Mango Shake that I highly anticipate viewing. So go listen to their show. Listen to our show. Go back in our back catalog. There's some good shit in there. I hotly anticipate part 4 of your fanfiction opus.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Who knows? Anything could happen.
Yeah, I bet. I think that's it, right? That's got to be it. It's been 2 hours.
Yeah, we gotta stop this. This is ridiculous at this point.
Yeah.
Until next time, I've been Isabel Arf.
Are you sure about that? You sounded hesitant.
What?
Are you sure about that? You sounded hesitant.
Hesitant about what?
Your name.
Pretty. Isabel Arf. Did I say that the first time? Did I say something else?
Yeah. No, you said it. You just said it kind of like haltingly.
This is the worst having to sell a bit. I've been Isabel Arf.
And I've been Derek Godai. Have movies be jolly, and I'm sorry for ruining the bit.
Have movies be jolly. Good night, everybody.
Good night.